Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd from Bish's RV here, answering a question for you that I've been getting a lot from you folks lately, and that is basically, hey Josh, with the manufacturers slowing down their production, are you seeing the quality of the RVs produced improve? And really the answer to that is a pretty definitive yes and no. The thing is, I think a lot of times we want like a really black and white, easy blanket answer. But this isn't a question that has a black and white, easy blanket answer. With all these different manufacturers, all these different facilities, all these different teams, fact is, some are getting the job done better than others. But that's really always been the case. Even in the really peak COVID crank-up production years, there were a few brands that really rose to the occasion and started building some of the best RVs they'd ever built. Now, I also want to preface, I have never, and I will never probably, claim that any RV is perfect, but there are some that are definitely doing a better job far more often than others. During the COVID period, though, without question, I saw some of the more ramshackle stuff I've ever seen in my career. I will say this, I've seen that cool off. I've definitely seen far fewer just egregious, ignorant oversights and mistakes and just push it out the door and we'll let the dealer finish it via warranty work. I've seen far, far less of that. That being said, to say that things are better now, that's really not setting the bar too awful high in some cases. Because the hard fact remains, there's been a lot of room for improvement over the last couple years. But again, it's not a blanket designator. So like, how do you know which brands have really been getting the job done and which ones haven't? There's never a definitive guarantee, because like I said, I've never claimed that any RV is perfect, and even some of the like Rockwood. Rockwood is a brand that has just done fantastically the last couple years, and they've earned a really sterling reputation. But they haven't been perfect, you know. How can you know? Well, a good way to know to start looking is take a look at this list that I've got scrolling over here on the side of the screen while I lose my balance and almost fall down. Apparently the earth decided to shift under me. This is a list of the most recent year's RVDA gold level DSI award winners, meaning basically these were the brands that were kind of found, reported, voted like the best of the best in terms of front end quality, fit and finish, dealer satisfaction, customer satisfaction, aftermarket service, parts, warranty fulfillment, all those kind of things. That's where these brands over here, they were basically said that they were the ones doing the best overall in the industry. And if you look at some of those names, if you like start running some Google searches of like years before that same award, you'll find that some of those are the same brands that have been on there for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years in a row. There are some brands that are doing a better job and have consistently been doing a better job. Now, I've talked about something like this in a very similar video before a year or two ago, and I kind of got met with some criticism. I said, oh, that's real convenient. You're only talking about the brands you carry. Well, keep in mind, Bish's carries a lot of brands, but we don't carry everything that's on that list. I am willing to put out and publish even the names of brands that are doing well, even the ones that we don't necessarily carry here, because I want you to know that we are always doing our best to be fair, candid, and transparent with this information. The thing is, though, as I said, none of these things are necessarily perfect. So how can you really, really make sure that you're getting one that you're going to be happy with? There's something I really highly recommend, and as a person within this industry, I'm a very big proponent of, and this opinion, this advisory hasn't earned me any friends in this business, and that is having the RV inspected by a third-party individual before you complete a sale. But here's the thing. I think that this is a good bit of advice, especially for first-time RVers, but whether you're buying a new RV, a used RV, and whether you're buying from a dealer or a private seller, this, I think, is a really good way to help offer yourself a little bit of extra protection and peace of mind. You spend a couple bucks up front to do it for sure, but it might end up being the most valuable money you ever spend or anything like that. Now, when people start talking COVID quality, like COVID era RVs, there's a lot of those that obviously were purchased by private sellers. And there are a lot of late model, very little use RVs out there. And I'm no different than you. When I go, like, if I was going to be buying something like that, my first question, like when we do a consignment sale, when something's like a 2021 and somebody wants us to sell it for them, our number one question immediately is, why don't you want it anymore? You know, and that's I think that as a private individual buying an RV, it's the exact same thing. You want to know why somebody doesn't want that thing after such a short period of time. Like I said, whether it's a new or used RV at a dealership, whether you're buying a used RV from a private seller made during an era that gives you pause or point for concern, having that RV inspected by a licensed, certified, independent RV inspector, which, like, usually if you just Google certified RV inspector near me, you'll get some kind of answers. And the reason I say this hasn't necessarily earned me any friends recommending this is because the last thing you want during a sales process is something to slow down a sales process. And here I am representing a dealership group, kind of recommending something that slows down a sales process. I get from the office standpoint how it's not desirable, but from a consumer advocacy point of view, which I love the fact that I work for an organization that encourages me to provide that kind of insight and information. I think it's one of the best things you can do out there. And actually, I've put this in different videos, but a big pro tip here. If you're shopping for an RV, again, from a dealer or a private seller, at some point, ask if they would object to having the RV independently inspected by a third party. And if they start going, no, we don't need that, that gives me, I don't know. That gives me heebie-jeebies. I don't like that. And if they go, yeah, sure, that's probably a good sign that they truly do not expect you to find anything that's going to be a significant kind of deal breaker factor. Now, that's a guide. It's not a Bible. It's not going to work every single time or anything like that. But it's those little buyer beware, little pro tips for you like that I like to try to provide. So, overall, do I think things have gotten a little bit better? I do. Not as much as I would prefer, and probably not as much as anyone would prefer. I also want to mention, I don't know that we're fully out of the weeds yet, and here's why I say that. Dealer lots are, inventory is aplenty currently, and as a result, dealers have slowed down on their orders, manufacturers have slowed down on their production. There have been some extended where some, not all, but some factories have taken like 1 or 2 months off for Christmas break or holidays or something like that. When that happens, like, you think, okay, so they're slower, so they have more time to build stuff. But when they have an extended shutdown like that, there are people who depend on that job to make an income for their money, and they have to go somewhere else. So an experienced, potentially qualified individual is no longer within that labor pool. And then when production starts back up, you have to replace them with someone. And sometimes in certain positions, not everything in the RV industry, but there are some things that they put them on the production line and the other guys show how to build stuff during live production. Now, every factory handles that differently. That's not, again, something that applies across the board to every single plant, but that's a painfully common practice with the RV industry. So I do think when production starts back up, there's going to be a little rocky blip, and then moving forward this calendar year, the 2023 calendar year, I think that after about the first quarter of the year, you're going to see a lot of things standardize, normalize, and be far more consistent. I think you're going to see better, more consistent build quality at that point. And I also do feel there are some brands out there who have been consistently putting out better product for years now, even during the hardest period in the RV industry, but it's not always obvious to every single consumer. So again, checking which brands are on those DSI ratings, like, the thing is, like, there's some big name brands on there, like Grand Design, Rockwood, some brands that, like, you've seen a couple times before that are doing a great job. The ones that kind of stood out to me, there's some underdogs on there that I think are prime position to be some really good buys for you out there. Like, a good one, like the Crossroads Zinger and the Crossroads Sunset Trail. Those are brands that historically did not have the greatest of reputations. But the fact is, the last couple years, they have been doing a fantastic job. And looking internally statistically, those are a couple brands right there that have very little in terms of warranty rate and warranty dollars per sale. but they're not one of those big fancy pants name brands. But the fact is, their leadership and their labor pool is getting the job done. So that's where I think sometimes that list can be a good one. But again, there's brands that we don't carry at Bish's RV that are on there that might also be a good buy for you. So I hope you found this information insightful, beneficial, whether you're planning, whether you're curious, whether you're serious, whatever the case may be. If you appreciate how we go out of our way to kind of answer questions that you're asking like this and try to give you the best information that we can, hit that like button if you're a returning member of the RV Nerd Herd. Leave me a comment that says thanks, and if you're new with us, hit subscribe, because in addition to a ton of RV reviews, we also like to take a little time out of the day to help answer some things like this and pull back the curtain a little bit and take some of the mystification out of the industry. So if you appreciate that, join us the next time around. And until then, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.